just so I make sure that that's not over the entire podcast, which I've done in the past. Anyway, Guild Wars podcast, episode something or other, season 5. And this is going to be about classes in Guild Wars 3, as you can see on the actual page you have there. Wonderfulness. We have some epic guests. Hopefully this is working. I always do this at the beginning because I'm like faffing about. It's like I'm the master faffer. Faffer, not fluffer, faffer. Just in case anyone was wondering.
Chief Fluffer is what he does on the weekend.
Hey,
Yep.
you know,
It's
it's a thankless job.
It's good pay. What do you think?
I got hired for the Guild Wars podcast. I'm confused.
Oh yeah, it's the Guild Wars podcast. That's right.
You high? You signed a W-2?
I mean, sorry, that was confidential.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everyone gets paid other than Kroof.
I'm just doing community service at this point. It's how I told
Truly.
my jailer, I told the judge, I was like, you know what, will be my community service.
I'll pay you with Grisha looks. Here we go. How about that? Grisha's gonna say look.
It's been a while since Krisha's made her visit, her cameo.
He's a baby.
Hi, Grisha.
She just
So
had her
cute.
birthday.
Aww.
He's like 3 or 4 years old. One of those two. Such a baby.
Oh, that's young.
Yeah, she's a young girl.
My kitten is an old lady. I'm not used to little babies, little baby cats.
She was on the street and they rescued her. She was just running about, and now she's a madam of the home. Anyway,
She's a kept woman.
she is. She enjoys the things. Guild Wars 3. We are going to talk about classes today. We have Engel, Fornax, and Kroof. Wonderful people. You can check out their streams and whatnot in the description below. Please make sure you go and check that out. We're doing that. Down there, all the things. You can also check out the Lightbringers podcast on Sundays. Whenever there's news and we got stuff to talk about. Make sure you just check us, follow or a sub on youtube.com/JebroUni, which is where all the podcasts are, as well as the stuff I do, but also on, just Google it, Lightbringers Guild Wars podcast or Guild Wars 2 podcast, because now it's just Guild Wars because we got technically 3 games. So, you know, I just thought I'd just call it the Guild Wars podcast from now on.
4 games.
I mean, they did rebrand the Guild Wars
true.
2 channel as well to just Guild Wars. So that's exciting.
Oh,
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's very true.
It is true.
We are going to jump right into it because there is a lot to talk about. Because classes in Guild Wars 2, I've actually got to bring up one thing which I forgot to bring up, but it's okay. So we're going to start with where we are right now, Guild Wars 1 and 2, and the classes we already have. And also thinking about whether or not those classes are going to be in Guild Wars 3. There is a lot of classes, technically. But I didn't put the elite specializations in here because, I mean, that's also something to add to the conversation, of course, that maybe there's going to be an elite specialization from one of the classes in Guild Wars 3, but I don't know. So we've already got things like, you know, Guild Wars Reforged, which is, you know, the new name for it. Like we had Warrior, Ranger, Monk, Necro, Mesmer, Elementalist. So we had 6 at launch there. Then with factions, we had Assassin and Ritualist. Nightfall brought us Paragon and Dervish. And Guild Wars, of course, had this. You could have a secondary caste, a secondary profession. And then Guild Wars 2 came out, and people were sad that you couldn't do that. But that was kind of elite specializations was your, I guess, your secondary profession, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not exactly the same, but you know, you do pull different utilities over, I suppose. So I guess in a way it's kind of similar. And in Guild Wars 2 we had Core, Launch, we had Warrior, Ranger, Necromancer, Elementalist, Mesmer, Guardian, and Thief, and Engineer, sorry. And then we had one class added with Revenant in Half Thorns, and then we had all of the elite specializations, which came out of all the expansions. Yes. And then the yearly expansion, we just had elite specializations for that. So we've got tons of different classes from the old games, which are still going.
She's called old. Wow.
I mean, they're getting old. Well, we talked about
aged.
old, didn't we, before?
They're full of wisdom.
And that brings us to kind of where we are with like speculation. So sets the scene a bit. Will there even be classes in Guild Wars 3?
Ooh.
Is my first kind of
That's the first
for
one?
us. Yes.
That's a big question.
Ooh.
Will
that
there
is huge,
even be classes?
No. End of podcast.
That's Engel.
Oh. We're all going to be answering in one-word statements today. We're like, hey,
Excellent.
it's after the 4th of July. We're like, we got to just wrap it up.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. It's fine.
That is, I mean, it's a good question to ask because I have definitely noticed if, you know, people in chat and us here have noticed any like adjustments in the MMO space is the idea of classes. So sorry, it's so loud outside. If you can hear the the highway. The idea of classes have been changing in the way they're kind of executed in modern RPGs, at least. There haven't been too many like MMOs that have come on the scene recently, but I know that like in RPG spaces like Destiny, you know, the way classes function are not as maybe like numerous as they used to be, and are a little bit more small in total number. We've even seen some games kind of just go for more weapon-based progression. I believe like Throne and Liberty and New World were two games recently that were more MMO focused that opted not to go for classes. And it's a bit of a touchy topic. I think people can feel very impassioned about their idea of like class identity because it gives people a theme, it gives people something to connect to. But there's also a group of people that like what they would say is like the immense flexibility of just swapping into different weapons and changing on the fly. So there's two camps. I think I personally like to lean more in I like to have classes. I like to have a theme. I like to have something that I can kind of build up in a role play perspective. So I tend to plant my feet in the classes camp.
Mostly because you want them, or based off of how Guild Wars is already?
Because I've played games where they don't have classes. Yeah. So I'm pulling from like thinking of a new game, and I pull from what I've played in the past. I've played games that don't really have classes, and for whatever reason, they don't click with me. They don't really like speak to my soul or what I really look for in a fantasy game. So because I want them, and also just because of the history of Guild Wars with its class system, I think it's something that I would want.
Okay. Engel, Fornax, thoughts? Theories? Hats?
I mean, I could see it going either way. I'm also sort of leaning toward, I think like a class system, I think would be more comfortable, especially for the current player base. Now, thinking about what has been working for, you know, outside MMOs or the newer MMOs, maybe that isn't the way to go. But when I'm thinking about it for like myself and for the other veteran players in, you know, the Guild Wars trilogy now, I think it would be more comfortable to come in and be like, yeah, I'm going to play this specific class type, even if it is maybe a little bit more simplistic than what we currently have. I don't know. I'm just kind of getting this feeling like if I started and I had like endless options, I would feel a little lost maybe. But that's just my initial thought there.
Okay. Do you want classes?
I do. I'm leaning more toward that.
Okay.
Being like, all right, I'm pumped. I can come in and kind of know the direction that I'm going from the get-go by picking my class.
Fornax.
I largely agree. Yeah. I think that like the hero fantasy, the class fantasy, is such a massive pillar of the MMORPG genre that I think if you knocked that leg out, and if you look at New World, how knocking that leg out made it fall over. I think it was. I mean, there were many reasons why it fell, but I don't. That did not help. And I also think that just because there seems to be an indication that we're going to be getting our abilities from a sort of a communing with the spirits doesn't mean that they're all one flavour. I would imagine it's a bit of a licorice all sorts type of a moment whereby there's going to be all different types of flavours of spirits where people can specialise in. Maybe if we're talking about elemental magic, then like fire magic, earth magic, protection, destruction. We saw an airborne spirit that it could be linked very much to the elements. And I would imagine that there will be martial spirits as well, in some capacity. So I feel like it. I know that ArenaNet like to reinvent the wheel, but Jesus Christ, I don't think that they should not have profession. I think that would be overturning the table for no good reason.
Okay.
I think you both actually bring up some really good points to consider when going into a new game, especially an MMO. Angle, your point of feeling perhaps overwhelmed if there was no class starting point, at least. That's also something I've considered with Guild Wars 3's, like, it feels like their approach is to maybe be a little bit more applicable and general to an audience that is maybe kind of like new to gaming, like consoles, where you don't have to know all the lore to step into the Guild Wars space. And I think another part of that to consider would be gameplay. I think it could feel overwhelming if you give people like a whole, like, here's the entire skill system, pick and choose. It can be, I know a lot of people that are like, I just want to go to Snow Crows and, copy paste the build, because it alleviates some of that stress of needing to understand like every small detail. So I think that could be, that sense of overwhelming could be a bit of an influential decision. We'll see though. And then to Fornax's point of, wait, I just had it and I lost it. I just had it and wow. What did you say, Fornax?
I was talking about the spirits and what they're going to provide us with and the diversity of them, and how it would be bad if they overturned the pillar. And it would be like it's a fundamental platform. Yeah.
The overturning of the pillar, I think it would be maybe like a little unfortunate if they also got rid of professions, because it does seem like they're already like adjusting their definition of MMO when it comes to player scale. And I've already seen some people be a little iffy about how expansive the world is going to be in terms of player population. And so when you have this MMO genre, you look to these fundamentals. And if they're already adjusting it for more modern gameplay experiences with the population size, if they also decided to get rid of class systems, I think that could be another like leg of the chair kicked out from like the Guild Wars, MMO scene. So, yeah.
Fair.
I'm currently making like a huge guide for Reforged, which means that I've been like diving into the professions and stuff. And I think that something that is fantastic about Reforged is the vastness of their skill system. There's like 1,300 skills, and you can only get access to about, each profession has about 150 odd skills, right? And you can't have them all. You have to earn them, you have to unlock them, you have to actually work to get them. It's not like handed to you on a platter. I like that. I guess I glutton for punishment called me a sadomasochist, if you like. But I like to have to work for my toys occasionally, especially. And I love the idea that they've kind of looked referentially back at Reforged, at the like skill capture and unlocking skills through quests and things like that, which is something that we just don't do now in kind of the the Guild Wars 2 iteration of Tyria, and I think that was a step backwards. Actually, I think that was a step backwards, and I hope that they bring back that kind of sense of adventure, sense of having to adventure through the world to unlock the skills, and so it's really grounded.
Yeah, that's
What do you think? What do you think? Do you want those class archetypes, Jeb?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting. You talked about New World. I think all of you in some way, shape, or form. And there was that initial like, okay. And it brings the other questions into kind of the front as well of like, is there a Trinity? So if there isn't a Trinity, like it kind of makes it kind of makes sense for it to be a place where, classes don't necessarily matter. If you have a Trinity, which is a, pardon me, tank, healer, DPS, then you kind of want to have that selection early on. But also New World did this really cool thing where, your class was just really tied to a weapon specifically, but at the same time, there was some skills and ways that you could, decide your tree on a weapon. So the weapon was, so imagine like in Guild Wars 2, we've got the trait line, right? But then in a New World, you had the weapon, and then it kind of had different traits that you could select. So you could make it more healing, or you could also make it more about movement. So you would combine yourself with a healing weapon, which would also offer you support in other ways like movement, etc., etc. So it was kind of cool because you could all just use whatever weapons you wanted to use. But at the same time, those weapons, even though it was like mostly a healing weapon, it would still offer you. Yes, I know, dear. She's meowing at my face.
She has opinions. Let her speak.
She does.
She really likes the class topic.
The opinion is that I'm talking to other people, and then she wants attention. Only when I talk to people, it's fine. And so I really like the mix there of New World, but I think you're right. Like it really deterred people because they were like, I want to be a healer, or I want to be just a damage dealer. And actually, funnily enough, they changed the game so that you could create when you created a character, there was like an archetype, and they gave you a weapon set to start off with, and they called it like, a duelist or something. I can't remember what the names were. But so they did actually change that system, and then Amazon Games did their thing and closed it. So, as per usual, just as the game was starting to get better and people were starting to play again more, it was just like, nah, we're good. F those guys. Not the devs, the Amazon Games themselves. Also crushing Crucible. Fuckers. Anyway.
I remember Crucible.
So good. It was way ahead of its time. But yeah, I would like to see classes. I think it would be a really odd. When we talk about, I think they're talking about synergy between the games, and the Hall of Monuments is mostly that. But I think also the other thing that's really kind of hooks us in between all Guild Wars games is that we play a class. We select that class, and there's so much significant lore behind it. It would be weird if we didn't have just classes. I think it would just be odd. So I feel like they're gonna have classes. I also want classes. I think it would not be the best idea if they didn't do that. But saying that, it doesn't mean that they can't potentially use all the weapons in the game, every single class. I think that would be cool, actually.
If I could put my Guild Wars 2 historian hat on for a second, in the early iteration of alpha of Guild Wars 2, they had something similar to what we knew as like the trait lines, the OG trait ones.
Yeah.
And very reminiscent of the specializations we have today. But in the early alphas of like 2010, maybe going into 2011, they actually had trait lines for each profession that was solely dedicated to the weapon you were using. They ended up scrapping that and infused it into the actual different specs that we know today. But it seemed like in the early development of Guild Wars 2, there was going to be a little bit more control and agency over how your class used that specific weapon. So maybe this is a time for them to revisit some of those pillars of class creation and class customization, and really go in that direction in a modern game. So I thought that was really interesting what you brought up, Jebro, in terms of like the weapons and like leveling up a skill tree of weapons and all that stuff, and that being the deciding thing is how your character feels.
That was a really cool thing in New World, honestly. It was actually very unique. It was just like having a class straight line like in WoW. It was pretty much like exact same tree, which was cool. It was cool. Do we think, I mean, and this speculation is I'm setting the scene basically for as we get to these classes and deciding what we would like to see or we think is going to be in the game. Do we think we're going to be seeing a Trinity? Now, thinking about a few things, they have said that it's going to be this kind of evolution of the MMO. That, they're very good at that. i.e. mounts, even just maps, events. They've really kind of, I mean, those events obviously, as we all know, those aren't new to MMORPGs, but I think they've advanced them to a place where they're probably one of the best. I still think Rift did it the best, but it's okay. It was just with Rifts mostly.
I've been thinking about Rift recently too.
I know. I did watch your video, which you were talking about Rift as well, and something you definitely need to get back into. I think they've got this really cool thing now where you can lock the level of your character, so you can't advance past an expansion, so you can experience the raid as a level 50, 60 character. It's actually really, really cool. I really want to go back in and try, because their raids were like, you had WoW players basically playing Rift because their raids were so much better at the time. Because of this, it was really good, really fun. Do we think there's going to be a Trinity? Are we going to have a healer? Are we going to have a tank? Are we going to have a DPS? Are we going to have our supports? And thinking about that, and what we know about Guild Wars 3 is that they've said that there's going to be this evolution of the MMORPG. There's not going to be as many people in the maps. Are we going to have dungeons? All of this is dependent on this, whether or not we have like a Trinity or not. And as we know, Guild Wars 1 and 2, you can heal yourself, and someone's gone.
Angle! They took Angle.
They took them away. They're gonna come back. They're back now. There you go.
ArenaNet dropped him. ArenaNet dropped him with a helicopter.
It's okay. All the names will
I
start
don't know why that keeps happening.
Oh, no worries. You good.
Do you have sorry, just out of curiosity, not to derail, but do you have a move to AFK after a certain amount of time of not touching your computer?
Oh.
Because sometimes
did you get sent to AFK?
I'm not sure where I went.
I'll check.
I think I got pulled back in here, so I think I went to AFK, but
I'd have to find out. I can't do that on the stream.
Oh no.
It's okay. We can worry about it later.
You're just gonna have to.
We can worry about it later. No. It wasn't. I think it's because I don't I set this computer up and then I don't touch it for because I'm on my other computer. So.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm gonna
I'll
look
move my
into.
mouse. I'll wiggle my mouse around
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Just every
Just a
so
little
often.
wiggling. It's fine. Yes, I'm back though.
Wiggle it just.
I did not get
bit.
fired from the podcast.
Yes.
Contract is still valid.
Yeah, there was someone else.
ArenaNet did pluck clumsy. Yes, Angle got sent to the mists. They said.
I learned all their secrets. Now I'm back.
Oh my God, you're a revenant! Wow.
That was
Yeah.
quick.
Who are you channeling? Who are you channeling? We all want to know.
I'm not telling. I can't tell.
NDA.
I'm under NDA.
Miss NDA. Signed by.
I like the idea that your revenant channel makes you sign an NDA.
Yes. I will let you channel me if you sign this 40-page contract.
Pardon me. Okay.
Just don't read page 34.
Will there be a Trinity?
Yes. I hope so.
Yeah. Yes.
Just yes.
We have a Trinity. We have a Trinity. I
We do?
know we had a Trinity in Reforged. We have a Trinity in Guild Wars. They've called it different things. They've pretended it. They've put frilly knickers on it. It's a fucking trilogy. It's a Trinity.
A trilogy.
Trilogy.
It is a trilogy, technically.
A trilogy of a
Which-
Trinity.
That's true.
But what I love is the fact that you can be, a bikini wearing tank. Great, yeah. You don't. They kind of squash the sword and board. Must be a metal sheet wearing person in order to take a hit. That's cool, right? I like that. I hope that they keep leaning into that. But you need a framework to build your game on, right? And so you have your class fantasy, you have the role that you like to play in these games, and I feel like that's super important. So there must be some sort of for player agency, right? I mean,
Yeah. And I think that there's always that constant idea of evolution. And these are kind of fundamentals of combat, especially a game where it is reliant on you being around other players in some capacity, no matter the scale. And I think it gives a good amount of flexibility. It gives a bit of creativity with encounter design and how you play your character. And there is that like sentiment of evolution within Guild Wars 3 that seems to be pretty big in their marketing. And you don't evolve something by just ripping it away and destroying it. Like Pikachu didn't evolve into like Raichu by becoming Squirtle. Like you still want to have some type of core of something that is recognizable. And I think in many ways Guild Wars 2 was able to push that into more of a modern direction with like its support features being much more active, where you have to target and be very strategic with like your skill placements. The only area that I think that Guild Wars 2 absolutely did not, hit on and really shine and would be tanking. I don't think that tanking was done very well in Guild Wars 2. I do like the idea of crowd control abilities, and you need to manage, aggro that way. But the way it played out when it comes to boss fights was always very difficult because of the very strict, like, no CC effects on bosses that, as MMOs you typically have to do, because you don't want to just stun lock a boss and then, that's how you win. But I would love to see them push the envelope when it comes to things like healing and specifically tanking, and how those roles would exist in a more modern evolution of an MMO, not taking it away and destroying it and everyone's a DPS, but seeing about how you heal in an action game, how you manage mobs in an action game, proactive blocking, dodging, pulling people, and they actually like stick to you and want to fight you, adjusting enemy AI behavior to be able to be like, oh, this character pulled me, I'm gonna start attacking them, not just redirect and go and fight someone else. So there are other aspects they could explore to feel like this is a modern action evolution.
True. Fair. Like it. Especially the Pikachu bit. Let's just all agree that Squirtle is way better than Pikachu, to be fair.
Shots fired. No.
Wow.
What do you mean no?
No.
I was a Chikorita. I'm a Chikorita fan. I love Chikorita.
Okay. Well,
And Growlithe.
I would like.
that's good.
Quite like. I like. I'm thinking about Pokemon now, and you've just derailed what I was going to say. I'm back. So, what I want. So, the problem with the Holy Trinity is the fact that there's so much stuff, so much emphasis, so much focus put on the tank doing the tanky job and the healer keeping all the lemmings alive, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. And in Guild Wars 2, I feel like they compounded the problem, because you could have one poor bastard who is also the healer and the tank and everything, and they're just carrying the whole fucking raid, right? And I think that what I think that they should innovate in the Holy Trinity is have the tank doing their jobby and have the healer keeping all the lemmings alive, but also giving the DPS agency and jobs and interesting things to do in these encounters, so that it's not just so that one person isn't just having to, Atlas style carry everything. That I think that's where you could kind of innovate and change things up and give more agency and more purpose to DPS other than number must go up, you know.
That's gonna be interesting. Okay. All right. Do you think? So, are you saying you do want one, or you think there will be one Fornax, or no?
I want a Trinity.
Okay.
I think a Trinity is a great way to have, is a great framework to overlay your encounters onto, because I think that inherent limitations breed more interesting things. You know, if you want to see someone do something interesting, set limits on what they can do, give them parameters in which they can't go out of, and see them have to innovate within this space. And I think that some of the most interesting things come from limitations. So I think it's a good limitation to have. But I think if they're looking to improve the gamer's experience, if they're looking to move it forward without breaking the whole system, or starting or making some other new system, I think it's spreading the load of responsibility and giving different purposes to different player positions, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Perhaps.
Engel?
Yeah, I think I would largely agree, and that's a part of why I haven't really interjected, because I haven't had really a unique thought past this. The only other thing I could maybe see them doing is offering the versatility to have a Holy Trinity. You know, maybe if it is something that is like based off of your weapon and that's like what you're doing, like you could have the flexibility of doing that on one player character depending on what you have equipped versus you know, having to switch characters in order, like, I'll bring my healer, or, you know, I'll bring this person. I think that might offer some more versatility or survivability as well as you're like moving through open world stuff for players. I know that there are some characters, especially for new Guild Wars 2 players, even, they come into the game and they're like, why am I so squishy? Like, I'm dying to everything. And it's like, well, you're playing a really squishy class.
Oh, yeah.
And there's
You're an
nothing, you know,
elementalist.
yeah, no, well, by that time, you know, maybe they're attached to the character, and you know, it's sad for me when I hear that happening to folks. So like that's the only other place my mind was really going, is if it's, I would like to see a Holy Trinity in the game. But if they are trying to make it more versatile, maybe it's something that they offer to everyone on one character, but you're like kind of locked into it while you have certain weapons equipped. Like,
or if you're in combat, like in Guild Wars 2, maybe.
Yeah. And I think,
or you're channeling a different spirit.
yeah,
Yes.
revenants. I think we've seen even Guild Wars 2 over the years, you know, evolve into that niche where you are now able to really provide any role on any class, because you know, more weapons have come into the game, more elite specializations have fleshed out a class, giving you those skills to utilize. And I would be surprised if in Guild Wars 3 they don't take from that lesson that they've learned over the years. It's taken them maybe, you know, a good amount of time, quite a few years, to really get to that level where every class can play every role. But I think that flexibility is so important, especially with a game with Guild Wars 3 that will maybe be a little bit more, at least on Steam, they say play alone or with others. So they're really going to, you know, have in mind a single player experience and the people who like to play MMOs but be more solo. And so having that ability to do anything, to be able to do damage and, you know, survive and be, you know, a competent fighter will be important. But also for that MMO spectrum and that MMO side, you might want to have some, you know, differentiation with, you know, different roles and being able to like, oh, I'm going to do a dungeon now, so let me pivot. Don't necessarily have to make a new character, but let me change up my build a little bit and have that flexibility to then be able to do that type of content.
Okay.
Or they could, and maybe not, maybe and they could.
Maybe and or. Slash.
Thank you.
And or with.
Maybe or I don't know whether it's the with, maybe it's a with, okay, and or with heroes, like from old NPC characters that you can put into your own group, whereby you can supplement your own gameplay. Therefore, you can play a tank or a healer or a DPS or, I don't know, gaze at your navel while your party kills everything for you. That there are some builds like that in Reforged.
I like doing that.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Especially for grinding, let's be real. But
Wow.
maybe.
My head went somewhere else.
But
Continue.
oh goodness! But you actually, after that, you do see actually modern games now taking on this role. So World of Warcraft is doing it. 14 does it with their NPC parties. So although it's not like an innovation, it's something that they lost from the old game that they could bring back, because I think that in many ways, like the original Guild Wars franchise, the Reforged, was incredibly fucking innovative. It was completely out of left field, especially it came about in the noughties, didn't it? It was like 2005 when it first released. It was so different. It was such a different experience, and but having been playing through it a huge amount to the guide, it's just I forgot how absolutely fucking brilliant it is. I mean, yeah, the graphics are a bit Lego. They still hold up. I think that they're quite cute. It's fun. It's not kicking me out, but some of the ways that they tackle with them and the theory crafting available, not particularly my bag, although I am trying to build a 7-hero Mesmer way so that I can just nuke through all the content.
Yes.
God help me. But yeah. But I think that there was a lot of stuff that I think that they lost a lot in translation, and I think that was one of the major kind of gripes of the community when Reforged rolled over into Guild Wars 2, that they'd lost the kind of essence, the soul of the game. And I think that Guild Wars 3 is an opportunity to actually make the successor to Reforged, rather than what happened with Guild. Not that I don't love Guild, I do fucking love Guild Wars 2, but you know, I think if they're wanting to, I think they innovated more in Reforged than they did in Guild Wars 2. So personally, you may argue with me in the comments.
Well, in regards to classes, I think you're being very specific with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, so heroes too. I think that would be a great thing to see back. And it would be flexible. It could be like if someone does, because I actually had a very difficult time in Guild Wars 2 leveling. It took me so long because I actually was like, oh, I have freedom of build choice and like I can play what I want to play. And so I decided to play Guild Wars 2 launch as a healer, as a guardian healer, which was not a good idea because it took so long to kill everything. And I think if you had heroes like in Guild Wars 1 where you had, you know, henchmen and heroes, you could have someone who wants to be that support while still being able to tackle content and play the game and not be like, oh, I can only play this at end game where I would be valued. It's like, no, I can build a team that, you know, complements my personal play style. And heroes and henchmen would be a perfect and opportune moment to explore that.
In particular, I guess, if you think about Guild Wars 3 and it being more on a smaller scale, that would be more possible, because if there's less players, then having someone running around with you. I mean, the Elder Scrolls Online does it. You have a companion now. You've had a companion for a few years, so you can actually decide whether or not they're a healer or a damage dealer or a tank, and then you can assign abilities to them as well as weapons and gear. It's kind of like, you know, little side Tamagotchi.
My God. I'm just going to say, World of Warcraft's Legion had a seismic effect. The kind of systems in that game, because Jesus, because all of the stuff that you're talking about now was born in Legion. That's like companions going out with you into the world, that kind of thing. That's like all in there. Crazy. Sorry. Continue. My apologies.
Oh, you're fine. Okay. So, what do I think?
How do you feel about the rolls? You like dinner rolls, cinnamon rolls?
I think
you like butter.
I think they're gonna. I mean, if you can slot in and out of I think this really depends on the next part that I'm also going to bring up, which is going to be a controller with controllers in mind and how, you know, that gets designed. And I think it's the amount of abilities and weapons and swapping and all the other stuff that we have in Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars, changing that over to a console and trying to translate the abilities and whatnot over to that side is going to be complicated. So they're going to have to make it for the console player as well as the PC player. But still, when people are playing MMORPGs on PC, they like to have a lot of abilities to select and use and kind of, as you've all been saying, define their build and the way they want to play. So I think they will do some kind of Trinity, whether or not it's the same Trinity we've always seen. I think they'll evolve it a bit, and it will be like, maybe they'll have a tanky player who is in the fight more and offers something to people like a warrior does, like, you know, shouts or whatever, or a guardian. I know guardians probably aren't going to be in it because they're newer. So I think there's going to be that, but I think, you know, classes are going to hopefully have some other ways that they support in terms of like healing and just AoE stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still like, I really liked that to a degree that Guild Wars 2 wasn't going to have like a typical tank, but I think there was always like, you know, it's going to be, this guy's going to have more HP than the other one. So that's just the tank. So, you know, it's just like, that's the player that can, you know, take all the damage and do the things. When we first started with dungeons and whatnot, because nobody knew that toughness was the tank indicator. So it was like, yeah, no one knew that. It was nuts. Everyone's just running around, like just doing whatever. It's like, why are all the mobs going over here? Like, what's going on? Anyway. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think there will be a Trinity to a degree. Whether or not I want one, I'm still kind of torn on that one. Someone in the chat actually, funnily enough, mentioned Soulframe, which I started to play a bit ago because I got beta key. And it is, I feel like Guild Wars 3 is going to be a lot like that in a way. Because you run around as if you're in a world like Elden Ring or something, and then, you know, you just see a player casually kind of wandering around every so often. It's not many, you know, you don't necessarily fight with them or around anything, but it's, you know, it kind of feels like you could come across a player, but you might not necessarily come across them very often. So that means that you're going to be more reliant on yourself. And I think if there's less people around in the game when you're walking around, etc., that may make it more difficult to have a Trinity, because it would be like, well, how many people are going to be doing this role, that role, and how do you know where are they, etc., okay. Controller in mind as well. PS5 controller in mind, I suppose. I mean, that's going to impact class design, right? I mean, we also have Final Fantasy 14 as an example, which is already played on console anyway, and they do pretty well. They use the paddles to go to different abilities and stuff as well. There are other MMORPGs on console, like Elder Scrolls Online as well.
Oh yeah, I always forget about ESO.
Yep, it's on Xbox. And they do all right as well, using the paddles and stuff to flip between weapons. And yeah, Terra was on consoles for a long time. I can't remember if there are any more.
Still technically the only way you can play Terra. Officially.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe this isn't really a question, but any comments about kind of like controller and how that's really going to change kind of even just the kind of classes we can play in the game? Because I mean, if you think about it as well, Guild Wars 2 went from mouse and keyboard only to then action combat, which is a very intentional move. I think we saw a lot of MMORPGs moving to an action camera, and I haven't gone back since I started using action camera years ago, and everyone was ripping it to shit. I was like, actually, this is really good. Like,
yeah, that only happened in PvP. People were like, "You play action camera with PvP?" I was like, "Yeah." And I still won.
Exactly. Cheeky. So yeah, Any thoughts about like controller and the influence on that? Will it make you have less abilities and less?
I think controller's actually huge. And I don't know I don't know if I've seen enough conversation about the controller as I feel like is warranted.
I've seen
Because
none.
that is such a huge shift in design that you have, like, from the groundwork, and especially because they are building Guild Wars 3 with controller in mind from the get-go. It's not something that they're going to be adding in the future and like they're like, it's taking a back seat. No, this has been designed with mouse and keyboard and controller in mind at the same time. And I think it will make, there's already so many other elements that could differentiate Guild Wars 3 from the other two games, but I just think the actual feel and flow of combat will just be so incredibly different than what we've experienced in a Guild Wars game before. And even from like how you actually operate and conduct yourself, being able to kind of sit back and chill, and I would imagine like some combo buttons and like different mashings will like do different effects, maybe with weapons. And then you'd mentioned like a skill system, being able to toggle with different skills with the triggers. So we'll definitely maybe see something more akin to Guild Wars 1's amount of skills, where they had up to 8 skills that you could have at a time. And I would say for controllers, you could comfortably do 6, and you could push it to 8 if you really wanted to. But I would definitely think that it's just going to feel more similar to what we experience in single player RPGs, I would imagine. I've been playing like a lot of Blue Protocol recently, which is like an anime RPG, a bit more actiony. And I was playing that and I'm like, I could totally see, this being the way that Guild Wars 3 kind of goes. Definitely not as like maybe quick and responsive as Guild Wars 2, but something that maybe takes a little bit more planning, has a bit more weight behind it, and is more about like how you respond to combat and then adjust your skills accordingly.
Okay. I mean, they are having, speed and momentum and all the gliding and the running and up the walls and stuff like that. There's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of buttons that you can press to do something very specific when you come off of running up a cliff, for example, as we see in the trailer and stuff. I think a lot of the traversal, hopefully, will, if you drop from a glider or something, maybe you can do an ability as you fall to the ground. I mean, with a controller and the way consoles work, and just games in general that aren't MMORPGs, there is more of a, like, you do an attack when you jump from the ground even. So, that the fact that could be, something which comes in a little bit more if you think of how consoles act and, just games in general that aren't based just on PC. There is a lot of interaction there, which I think, it can kind of take the place of some of the huge amount of abilities you do have on an MMORPG on consoles, because on for New World, for example, you could block, but you could also do something else. If you didn't have a shield, which was a block, you would aim, etc., etc. So technically, all these different ways that you could, and you were talking about Kroof earlier, doing something like, blocking, but also, parrying, for example, like an actual parry, and an actual, like, these kinds of things which are in other video games, which are normally on console more so than PC, would be cool. Like, I would really like to see that. Thanks for the raid as well. Welcome, people. Any more thoughts on controller?
Gosh, I wish I'd. So I play 14, but I've never played it on a controller because of my sanity. I value it, and I well, there is just such an extraordinary number of skills that you, like, for example, I play White Mage. White Mage is basically like the primary healer. So it has an extraordinary number of abilities, some that are extremely like clutch when it comes to like tank busters and things like that you have to be able to land and so that everybody doesn't die. And I shudder to think how that works, to be honest. What I will say is I think that we're not going to lose the weapon swap, and I think we're not going to lose the weapon swap or the spirit swap, which could give you from jumping from 6 to 12 sets of abilities to use, you know. And I think that also that they will likely be using like state change specific effects when you're interacting. So when you are in your parkour era and you are running around, I think the console will reflect the interface will reflect that you are in that like kind of like state. And then when you're transitioning from that state into combat, like you said, I think it gives them an opportunity to have something unique and special happening depending on what you're channeling or what you were channeling before you were doing your parkour. I don't know what else to call it. Running around, running up walls, being
parkour midnight.
Yeah.
You got a style on the boss sometimes. Be like, yeah.
Also, like, for example, so we see in the trailer, we see the mount, right? The jackal-esque mount. And we already have in Guild Wars 2, and I don't think they're certainly going to be moving forward with their mount fantastic. So then there might be an element of mounted combat or changing how you do combat when you're on the mount and or transitioning through, because I think it is a summoned creature. I think it is, so, you know, I that would be fun. But consoles scare the shit out of me. I tried to play Destiny, and I can't get that reticule to aim at another target, especially if it's moving. That was like, oh man, worst week of my life trying to play that. So, you know, that's the thing. It's a skill issue, clearly. But I hope it works out for them.
I think it's just a familiarity thing, honestly. You get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
Like if you I agree. I really am not very good at that. But I think it's more of like a getting used to kind of thing as well. It just takes time. Any more thoughts on the controller stuff? Because I'm gonna shift us over to something.
I kind of going off the skill system. I do think that maybe I'm just maybe excited to see that combat be a bit more combo focused, where other MMOs have done, like specifically Bless Unleashed, kind of leaned in that direction of comboing, where you'd do like an XXY and you'd have one type of combo and finisher, and then you could do XXXY or YXX, these various input combinations to have a different combo chain or effect chain that you want to go for. So I think that could also be a really interesting direction to go in, to not necessarily give you more skills, like individual skills to press, but with whatever weapon you're using, it feels more dynamic than just doing the same auto attack chain every single time. So I think that could be another element I would like to see, and would maybe push it in further into the action realm.
Nice.
Like a Guitar Hero Rift to get your super special.
Yeah. Perhaps I would love to see like a spectrum where things are maybe not, or certain weapons might not have as many specific combos, and some things are maybe a bit more approachable than others. But I think that could be, just thinking of how controller games operate, that was one thing that I was like, I would be interested to see Guild Wars, execute on that and see how that would look.
Nice. Okay. Ingo, any thoughts from you on controller stuff?
Actually,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I hope we have like non-combat professions that also incorporate the controllery stuff. So like gathering and crafting and that kind of thing.
That's fair.
Yeah. Sorry, Ingo. I apologize.
No.
Go on.
I was just, nothing that hasn't already been kind of repeated here, but I am glad to see the controller specifically for accessibility issues as well. I feel like controller support is something that's talked about in that realm quite a lot, because like mouse and keyboard can be kind of difficult for some folks. So to have something that's easier to hold in your hand, maybe a little more ergonomic that way. So I was really thrilled to see that, especially for that community. But it does make me slightly concerned for those that want like as extensive of a skill bar or something similar to like what we see in Guild Wars 2, because I don't think that that's how it's going to feel, which I'm excited for personally. I think it should feel very different, but I know that there's a large group of folks that are hoping for it to feel the same. So I just don't see that happening if we're including controller here.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think there's going to be a big. I mean, and honestly, I just hope there is going to be a big difference between all Guild Wars 3 and how it controls and plays to the other games.
Yes.
And I think controller just does force that. And I think Kroof, you're right in terms of what we're talking about in regard to the controller. I don't think I've actually seen anyone really talk about it in depth. At all when it's such a key huge thing. Like, I mean, even that is an evolution for Guild Wars. Like, we're seeing it go onto console for the first time. Yes, it's on Steam Deck technically, but that's not, I mean, it's a handheld console, but it's not really the same. There's it's not built for that. It's different, right? And
I almost kind of view the lack of discussion though as like a vote of confidence that it's going to work. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like I feel like
sure.
If there were a lot of discussion, or if it was enough where people felt they wanted to bring it up and make it a larger topic, there might be some more negative or concerns there, and they're just I'm hoping that the lack of talk about it is because people are like, cool, yeah, it's gonna work. You guys are gonna do a good job with it, because for MMOs as well with controllers, sometimes it's just like, oh, it feels so clunky, it's awful to play. I don't think I've heard anybody feeling that way going into this so far.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah.
It will be interesting because this is the first time ArenaNet is maybe approaching it with that in mind. But we did hear that Guild Wars 2 was actually originally planned with a controller, but it was maybe a bit too difficult and it never ended up working. But for the fact that they are sticking to their guns this time with the controller, I think that people are maybe thinking it's just going to work and it's going to be fine. But I think it's also maybe not a point to talk about with worries or criticism, but for me, it's like a point of excitement.
Curiosity,
Yeah, and curiosity, because I think I play Guild Wars 2 with action camera 100% of the time, so I already kind of approach Guild Wars 2 with a slightly more action view and action experience, and I highly recommend anyone in chat, if you want to, try a different form of gameplay in Guild Wars 2, do that action cam. But yeah, I think controller would also give us a slight influence as to what we would expect with mouse and keyboard, which maybe, as what we were saying, maybe with Angle, like people might not anticipate that change and then maybe be disappointed that it's not like Guild Wars 2. So, keep that in mind. There is going to be, even with mouse and keyboard, probably a very different feel.
Absolutely.
I wonder how much this is a reflection of just the player base. So many people just play on PC, and therefore they're not thinking about how transformational using a different interface could be, right?
It's a fair point.
But I definitely, but in terms of like, as a disabled person myself, in terms of like accessibility, I mean, fortunately it was only my spine that got messed up. I still have my hands. I think it's super important, especially for developmentally disabled people, which is I technically classify, and you can probably tell sometimes, that I think it's super important to have like the one button builds that Mutlock. I mean, you can throw some shit at Mutlock occasionally, but I think those one button builds that they made are fantastic. And I think that that's like a game changer for the community. And you even saw evolutions of that jumping into WoW, where they have basically like, you want to learn to play this class, there's a button that you just press. You just press the one button, it will show you the skills that you need to do. You are not going to do as much damage as someone who knows how to play the game, but this is like awesome. And it also, it's fantastic for like when you are first doing a raid boss, because you don't want to be thinking about your rotation when you're trying to figure out where you need to stand and what you need to do. And I think, and I also think that it's just like, as long as there's like delineation between competitive content, where it matters that you are the person pushing all the buttons, doing all the things, and you're in this position, and casual content where you should be able to roll your face across the keyboard, and it doesn't matter. It's only your perception of what you're doing that matters, right? And I think there needs to be a balance of that. And I think that hopefully that they'll retain some of that one button. I can still enjoy the story like content. I hope that they retain some of that.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you feel about action combat, Jebro? What's your take on like action combat when it comes to keyboards? Do you have a lot of experience with console controllers?
Yeah, I mean, I have PS5 and I've had consoles most of my life until I really got into Guild Wars 2, honestly, and then I kind of didn't get consoles anymore. I love action combat in Guild Wars 2. Elder Scrolls Online had action combat as well, and was the other MMO I was playing very alongside it. I think it just brings it into more of a... I think action combat is more immersive, actually. I mean, it's just more immersive. Like, you don't have to click on frames, you don't have to click on different things. Like, it's just more... It makes it difficult from a UI perspective, for sure. So, like, you know, it makes you think about... Because if you think about combat, if you think about a controller, like, it's going to change how the UI is designed as well, right? Like, so it's we're used to... It's going to... This is why I wanted to ask this question, because it's so impactful on the game. Like from nearly every single way you look at it, you know, it's mounts, it's UI, it's combat, it's how you interact with the UI, how you heal. How are you going to heal if it's just action combat, right? Like, what's that going to look like? And in New World, for example, you can kind of tab through people by like using a paddle or something, but you can't really click. I think. Could you click someone? I don't think you could even click on someone to do it. You'd have to like kind of aim the reticle on that person to heal them. So that's something that could be.
I would love that.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I know you would.
Moments
absolutely.
Of skillful aim. Yes, please.
Like when we saw the Thief spec come in, like, you know, I think me and you were just both really excited about that. And I know Boots was as well. Just that kind of ability that we could do that. And there was a lot of hope there. I don't think they've developed that much, but that's something that I think is, you can maybe see some of the stuff they're doing in Guild Wars 2 to practice for Guild Wars 3. Like they must have had this plan for a long time. So I feel like they've been learning and trying to implement things where it's like, ooh, maybe that would be good in the new game. And that makes sense. But yeah, I like action combat a lot. I think I was on the fence a while ago because I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm a healer. I want to click on the fucking UI to be like, that person needs healing. That person needs to be dispelled. You know, all the different things. I think I want to see a change there. I don't necessarily think that's important. I actually think less of a UI as well is going to make it more of a immersive as well. Like, I really think, like, you know, if you're running through different areas in Guild Wars 3 and all of a sudden the UI kind of disappears because you're in this momentum-based kind of state, I think it'd be really cool, like, cinematically for you as a player to just be like, yeah, I'm fucking running about, I'm flying, you know, this is what I'm doing. And then as soon as you want to do something, you press a button and then UI pops up. I kind of really like that idea.
They do have some of those options in Guild Wars 2, actually, which are really nice.
To a degree, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can turn the UI on and off whenever you want. You also, when you're underwater and stuff. Yeah, I mean...
There's even options in Guild Wars 2 where it's like you can have it be conditional, where you can hide your UI before you go into combat, and then when you're in combat, it like certain things will pop up or be hidden.
I think I've
So
really ever used it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a really nice. I like use it to hide a lot of information I don't need when I'm in a fight, like the top left bar and stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think I really use it. I might have to try using it.
It was like a stealth update. It wasn't like a huge update, but it's in the game. It's kind of nice.
You're right. It is there. I just rarely ever use it. That's cool. Okay. Yeah. I like it. I put weapon swap in the next bit because I was like, you know, it was just a thought that came into my head, and I was like, it doesn't need to be a main thing. But like, I mean, weapon swapping, I think something Fornax mentioned that a little bit, that they would like to see that. I think weapon swapping is going to be important. I think
weapon swapping, I want there to be weapon swapping, but I don't want it to be necessarily
the best way to play, maybe,
or like where it completely holds your skills hostage. I really want there to be like a meshing of Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, where the skills you can like select, say you can select up to 6 or 8 skills. It doesn't matter that you don't have to take certain weapon skills for that. You can take things that are more class specific or, you know, specialty specific.
Oh, like utilities as well.
Yeah, I want
like
all of the... I don't really want Guild Wars 2 where it's like 5 of your abilities are completely dependent and you have to have those abilities because you're taking this weapon. I would like to see it be like Guild Wars 1 where you can take a weapon, but the 8 abilities you have could be completely separate and, you know, not dependent on the weapon.
I mean, you could also use a skill which is just not even, like you said, kind of more of a utility thing, but maybe you just even pull out like your wand or something just to do, and in addition to a stuff, just to do one skill, and then that's it. Like maybe you just, and you don't have a weapon swap because you just select, if you just select different skills, you just pull out a weapon which does that skill, and then you just go back to the weapon which is like your auto attack or whatever.
Maybe, yeah.
So maybe I don't need weapon swap.
Oh. What if there's no like auto attack? What if the engagement they want from you as a player is for every hit, every action, you have to do an interaction. So if you want to smack with your sword, you smack. I'm spitballing. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
I see the tail. I see the horns.
Can you repeat that? I think it just went out of my head. What did you say?
So rather than when you equip, like, say for example, you have a sword, and generally sword 1 has like a 3 bing bing bing, you have to actually do stuff to make it do the thing. You have to actually press the button to do. So if you want to hit somebody, you press a button. If you want to block, you press another button. If you want to roll, you press another. So it's actually like very interactive in like, you have to be present. You're in it. That could be terrible. Carpal tunnel syndrome that way lies, possibly, but
it could be a lot of inputs at a time. That I feel like would be like the opposite spectrum of like a 1-button rotation.
No, this like completely destroys my accessibility, you know. Disabled people back to the back of the queue again.
I think certain games actually are quite fun with that, but they're not. I feel like if you put it into an action frame where it's a little bit more like you have to be very responsive and engaged, that could be, it might not shine the best in that genre of game.
So you'd want the reactions to be purely like, oh, so I need to dodge this attack, or I need to block this attack, or I need to do some specific...
A dodge, a dash, you know, get out of the line of sight, get out of the telegraph. A lot of elements that we already see in Guild Wars 2, but just recontextualized in a more actiony, you know, moment to moment. The inputs and the cooldowns and the animations are different.
Okay.
That's a good point.
But on the topic of weapons, I actually would like there to be weapon swap, but purely based off of like your auto attack and your like strong attack, which is like usually like a Y button on the Xbox, to allow you to have that versatility of combat, because maybe you do want to be like,
it's on PS5.
Oh,
sorry, that's just silly.
Triangle. triangle. Is it
Yeah.
triangle at the top?
It's triangle,
Yeah. So you have you're basically.
Right.
I would like for there to be weapons to give you choice and how you approach like melee or range. Like you have a situation where you're in melee, but then you want to swap to a bow, and that gives you that flexibility. But I would like, because I imagine there would be like skills that you, because it's going to be a skill collection game that you choose to have on your character. So I would like for those two systems just to be completely separate and not be like, because you have a bow, your 4 skills that you would choose from have to be bow skills.
Yeah, no, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it doesn't have weapon swap, then it would have to have that, because otherwise it would be very, very. But you know, I mean, okay. Pardon me, Engel. Did you have any thoughts about this at all that you would like to add to? Sorry.
No.
Fair. Love
Period.
it. There we go. Okay, next. Will we see Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 classes or mechanics in Guild Wars 3? Let's think about mechanics first. Oh, no. Let's do classes because it's related. What classes? I mean, this is the big one now. Oh, dear. And I've got some historical stuff there, but I'm not sure if it's all correct. Well, I mean, it's off the wiki, so it must be. There are classes already in the Guild Wars universe. They are from the future of when the game is going to be set, i.e. Guild Wars 3. We know that there are classes that are ancient and old, but we also know there's classes which are more recent and probably not going to be in the game. Or they may be in the game, but not with the race that we think they will be with, potentially. And they could also be just different. The Char gave, brought engineer into the world after in Guild Wars 2, because was it 250 years ago or something? I can't remember where it was. Yes, in the last 250 years. It was the Iron Legion. That's right. So they brought that to us and all the other races, and obviously that's, not before all of the stuff that happened with the Char, because that would have been silly, because engineers are obviously the best class, and we would have been fine probably then anyway. So that's something to keep in mind, obviously, as well. Revenant being a new class which is specific to that wasn't here. Ritlock kind of brought that one with him, so that is probably going to bring, there probably wouldn't be a Revenant, but that doesn't mean they're not going to do it in some other way, of course. I was watching a video talking about retconning things and changing history in the future, and I don't think Guild Wars does that much, honestly. Maybe I think they just forget things rather than retcon stuff.
That's true. Yeah, it'll be very interesting, because they always have pushed into the future, but this time, as a community, we might be a little bit more eagle-eyed when it comes to possible recontextualization of certain things that we might already know.
But yeah, so we've got Guild Wars 2 and we've got Guild Wars. What classes from those games do we think are going to be in the game? And which ones aren't? I've got a list of some of the things which aren't. I mean, Guardian is recent. It's not an old thing. Monk is the older thing, as an example. But what else do we think is going to be in Guild Wars 3 that we already have? And will they even add new classes based off of what we already have? Because if we think about where Guild Wars 3 is now, it's in the past. You wouldn't think there would be, and maybe there isn't going to be anything new class-wise at all. Thoughts?
I mean, if I were making Guild Wars 3, how I would do the classes is around the primary archetypes. So I would have classes around the gods, because they are the central pillars, right? So maybe Priest of Duena now is a person who worships Duena, but maybe Priest of Duena back in the day, in the Golden Age, was someone who wielded the power gifted to them by Duena. and that means that they are channeling that specific type, that specific flavor of divine magic, which then gives you access to all of the magical schools that we have in Guild Wars now. Without having to do any retcon whatsoever, because we have like Abaddon, secrets and magic, and water, right? So you can have a whole school of magic around that kind of esoteric knowledge of the chaos magic, even the stuff that kind of broke our world. And then you could have the death magic with Granth, which brings into necromancy, and of course ritualist. People always die. The soul is a reality in this game, and harnessing those souls, maybe there's a broader spectrum when the god of death himself is actually on the playing field. So you can't just only control the spirits of humans. Maybe you can control the spirits of others, and maybe that's where the spirits come into it. Or maybe the spirit, but we still don't know whether the spirits have come with the gods to this world, or they have arisen on Tyria naturally. So we still don't kind of know how they lock into the. But if I had to like build a magic system in this world, I would go to the archetypes, kind of the pillars. Who has all the power? Who's giving all the power? Because we know specifically that humans do not innately have magic, or at least to our understanding at the moment. And then you can recontextualize the gift of Abaddon, right? And it's fun. It's like a hugely fun exercise.
Yeah, I literally thought exactly the same. It's like, I don't know if you've scrolled down on the document past where we are, but I've literally said the same thing.
I'm so sorry.
No,
Did
you're
you
good.
say that?
No, you don't have to. I'm not saying
my moment is ruined. I did all of this.
It was just
my dissertation.
Speculation. I mean, it's good.
That was my magnum opus.
Because if like,
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's great. Like, I love it. Like, and you said more as well. It's like, yeah, absolutely. But I think I was conceptualizing it as magical greed for some reason. I don't know why I put that, but it was, I think, based off of what they were saying in terms of how much we want magic. But I think that's the bad.
Oh, interesting.
But but no, yeah, I love the idea of the gods and being so. Then if you think about that, Fornax, and you talk, which classes in Guild Wars now do have powers that, or magic, sorry, that is aligned with the gods that would be in Guild Wars 3? Do you think?
So obviously I think necromancer, or some form of necromantic magic would obviously be tying in. I think we might get some sort of druidic magic, because we have Melandru, but Melandru is quite a capricious god, because Melandru is the spirit of nature, and nature is famously, I mean, I would say indifferent, but it's not even that good, right? So it just is. So, you know what I mean? Jesus. And of course we've got all the elemental magic supplied, and of course Mesmer. We have Lissa, who will probably empower her followers with her magic, and that is illusion and confusion and destroying. I mean, thinking about how Mesmer plays in Reforged, like just ripping the shit out of everything and just locking down people characters' ability to do stuff. So that's it's terrifying. Mesmers are fucking terrifying. Jesus Christ.
Locking down. I gotta remember that one.
But that would be where I went. But I mean, you do lose the engineering stuff. You do, because we're in a period. You do lose that, and we don't even have like the. I mean, is there a theory of the eternal alchemy in this period of time? Are we going to get some sort of like that celestial prophetic? I mean, we should. I mean, that's the players are on the board, right?
I think that it's been, the conversation around Guild Wars 3 has been very interesting, because it has been incredibly human-centric when we talk about all of these things when it comes to lore, even when it comes to classes.
Yep.
And I've seen a lot of comments that are like, oh, the classes are just going to be like the different worships of the different gods, and you'd be like, the class would be the priest for Duena, the warrior for Balthazar. But you have to maybe consider that there are probably Asura and Coden that would be playable races, and to what degree would they be worshipping those figures? How that's why I don't think the classes are going to be so strictly tied to the gods. I think the gods are just going to be a vehicle of giving us the greater knowledge of magic, and then from there, maybe in the past, because there's still a history that has happened before we actually start playing Guild Wars 3. Maybe the Veil Wardens and that came before us, and the guilds that came before us established, you know, some early days of those professions of like a mesmer, a monk, an elementalist, a druid, and that's kind of where we get those classes when it comes to a lore perspective. And then you'd mentioned that we might not see engineers quite as much, at least in the way that we know them in Guild Wars 2. Yeah. But the Asura still are there, and they at least from what we know of them, they are like intrinsically, innately very ingenious and are inventors, and they like to meddle around with technology. I don't think we'll see something as modern that we see in like Guild Wars 2, but I could definitely see them having some type of alchemist class, something that uses the raw magic as concoctions and potions, and even some like creatures, and using that essence to channel it into some type of tech, but like very archaic tech.
We could have seer tech. We could have, because they're very
that's true.
advanced,
the other races
right?
too. Yeah. So I think that the conversations, I like to also dip into the Asura pond and the Coden pond, because they might also give us more to think about with how the gameplay is going to be executed as well.
Their tech
Because we have no clue what Coda is.
Yeah, exactly. Is there any hints from the previous expansion, from, you know, because about the kind of classes they are, or how they've, because they're kind of in the past, aren't they, really? So is that like, is there any clues there maybe of what the Coden could be like? Because they're hunters, right? Mostly. I mean, there's a lot of hunting, but there's also a lot of
spirits of the wild, which I think the Coden and the Norn are perhaps, you know, at least regionally.
Yes.
This takes place in
They're
the future.
Closely related. Yeah.
Could it be that the Coden were the ones that brought the spirits of the wild to humans, as they kind of came to Tyria, maybe?
I think they always existed in the world.
But like maybe as an introduction to like, this is them and this is
like communing with them, maybe.
Yeah, like teaching.
Yeah. I can see that. Especially with the Norn, like ingraining that into part of like their identity as well, because the Norn don't really mess with the human gods either. Yeah, I actually see, I'm kind of in the same boat though, with, I don't think the classes are going to be tied specifically to the human gods. The magic might be. I think the gods will maybe have more to do with guilds, or I'm kind of hoping to see the gods be tied to different factions or guild, or the pre-made guilds or whatever in Guild Wars 3, rather than the different classes. But I do think what we're going to see, similar to what Kroof is saying, is like older versions of what we have. Maybe, you know, the engineer is more of like a trap builder, or we have oh my gosh, what would you call it? A paladin type thing, or a priest, you know, where it's not necessarily what it looked like in 1, because I do think it's important that those things evolve as well, but it would tie into the time, and you could see how it would evolve into those later versions of those classes.
Okay.
I want a paladin really bad, by the way.
Okay. I know. I know, because Guardian is so new, but I love my favorite archetype is that like holy light, like paladin or priest.
Yeah.
That's what I always play. So I think that we'll definitely be able to hit that. I think there are some pillars of like D&D fantasy and all that are so tried and true that to stray away from that would be kind of like certain doom, where you'd be like, why would you not have those archetypes in a fantasy game?
I really want a shape-shifting druid.
Oh yes.
Daddy, I want a pony. I want
I think that with the Coden,
You writing this down, ArenaNet? You writing it down?
Yeah.
That's fair. What about classes we already have then they're in? So Fornax was saying Necromancer.
So Mesmer has to be there. I think Mesmer is like the one non-negotiable when it comes to the Guild Wars universe. That like it's much like it's the one thing that I can't really pinpoint in any other fantasy setting. Like true. Guild Wars does it. So
also because it's just so unique as well, right? Like having that class is a staple between all three games would be pretty cool, sure. But with different weapons.
It has to be empowered though, right? It has to be like wild and weird because she's here or they are there, right? That kind of like, if you think about like the gods as like generating a field of magic, I really want them to just be like weird and not what we expect. So a Mesmer, but strange and weird and terrifying. As with that strange chicken neck, it has to be weird. That art is messing my head.
Well, I mean, interestingly enough, and I copied pasted the gods and like kind of the different elements that are assigned to them, and this is from the wiki. And with Lissa, it says they're beauty, illusion, but also water, which I didn't really know. I don't know.
Oh, does Lissa also have dominion over water?
Apparently.
There's probably overlap.
But Dawn was also god of water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's 4 elements, I guess, and 6 gods, so there probably would be a little overlap.
Yeah, like Balthazar. No one overlaps with fire, that's for sure.
I was gonna say he took all the fire.
Yeah, he wanted all
it's not for you. Not for you.
Yeah, no one really took ice other than Grimph, I don't think. So that was another thing that I was thinking about. But sorry, go on, Engel.
No, I was gonna say Duena has air. I don't, and Melandru has earth, but I don't really see any other overlap besides water.
I guess Duena it says also warmth. So whether or not you assign warmth with fire or like warmth with just not cold, like
I was thinking warmth and life, like feelings.
Yeah,
it's really warm.
But maybe I'm just.
You can also talk about
I don't know.
You can also talk about the elements.
Like heartburn. Yes.
Yes, like a little indigestion. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Y'all got GERD.
There are more elements though in this world, aren't there? There are additional elements. So like spirit and mind is a domain which I would think Alyssa would have with her ability to like fuck you up mentally. Yeah,
magic is in quite a few categories. You have the elemental magics, you have death magic, chaos magic, void, ley magic, and then I guess light magic. Light magic is like the one thing that doesn't really get described often, and I would have liked it to with Guild Wars 2, especially with the Guardian. But I feel like in lore it's not often talked about. So I don't even know if it's considered specifically. I don't even think there is a name for like light magic, but it's very strange. But spirit stuff, so.
Yeah, because it's weird, because I mean, light is just, I mean, it's like energy, right? And we associate it with sunlight, we associate it, but it's also like a form of life magic, which you would think would be druidic with Melandru, but there's a you know, it's kind of strange when you think about it that they use the light to heal rather than the elemental like life magic that Melandru you would think would be wielding.
Yeah, because Duena is the goddess of healing. She uses air, or is at least associated with air. What?
I did a fart noise. You said the goddess of air of healing, and I
Oh, wow. Jebro in
Mm.
second grade. Wow. People don't come here for that.
what?
Oh,
What are you talking
excuse
about?
you.
The
That was
reason
me
people
snorting.
mostly watch this podcast is the banter.
Absolutely. They come here for very eloquent, very logical takes that
I
are
mean,
very,
yeah,
you know,
there's a
express-
wonderful
And
mix.
the dildo of consequence.
Oh,
the DOC, the DOC,
Okay.
yeah, the DOC indeed. I actually was thinking then about when you're talking about magic and you're talking about different kinds of magic, and I was thinking about Elder Scrolls Online, where actually like necromancers aren't allowed to use their magic in certain areas in the game. But they still know that they very much exist because they're banned or like outlawed or whatever. So in Elder Scrolls Online, as far as I remember, if you use like a necromancer spell or something like that, or is it necromancer? I can't remember. Like the guards come after you. That you're effed. It's just like there's that kind of fun part of it, but they're still in the game. So I'm like, is there going to be a class where their magic is banned and like, you know, they're trying to make sure, because they did that,
You know,
didn't they? I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if like necromancy is maybe given like a side eye, just because at the time of the story, Doom was like, he got reprimanded because he was like very authoritarian and kind of cruel. So I would imagine maybe I would love to see necromancy. I think it's like such a cool like fantasy, but maybe at least in written lore, people will be like, necromancer, you're a necromancer? Okay. I guess Grenth is, you know, we'll see how he fares.
No, that would be really taboo, and it would be really, really new, and they could have like a social consequence in the game for that, because death previously was immutable, right? Absolute. It was, and now what happens to a society where death becomes more mutable, and where death is wielded as a magical power rather than it being just like the final door closing. That's psychologically gonna.
yeah, it's true.
Kick over some tables, right? That's I'm also wondering if how pally the gods are. So are they going to be all right? Like if you use like, well, maybe not Grenth, but like Balthazar magic in Duena's domain, are you going to get yeeted and deleted or something like that? Are they buddy, or is it like a team of rivals?
That's a good point.
They're probably chill at this point. I mean, they had to like band together to banish Doom, right?
True.
So they're probably like, they're at least on like their colleagues.
They have to get onto a degree.
Yeah.
Other classes, I mean, I think we're going to see a Fifi roguey type character.
Oh, yeah. We've seen some concept art of like a Canthan looking armor. And I think with action combat, that rogue, like that assassin feel, it's going to feel even better, which I'd be very happy to play.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I'm going to bring up that art you talked about in your video, Kroof, actually, and I had it and I was like, yeah, let's talk about that. We definitely want to bring that up for sure. But in terms of, oh god, I've lost my list. Fifi kind of, I mean, I think Fornax was saying like ranger or druidy kind of character. I mean, you know, I think Engel said warrior, I think briefly, or someone did, or I'm just like, warriors are just in every single fucking game we play, so you know, why not? It makes sense. Like, you know, people have weapons. Warrior, like there's gonna be a basic soldier.
Like we're not gonna call it warrior, we're gonna call it gladiator.
Yeah, or whatever.
Be different.
Right. And other than those, I mean, Guardian is fairly new, so probably not. Engineer maybe would be something else, which is like kind of more. I mean, I think that would probably fit in with Thief anyway, in terms of like tricks or like traps is a very rangery thing in Guild Wars, so it's like, but you never know. The Bard. Interesting.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for saying that, Fornax, because in Siren's Landing, the mastery for that map is the siren songs. It's the it uses the magic of the gods in the form of instruments and music. And we wanted it a lot in Guild Wars 2 when we got the Troubadour. And I think people just love that type of archetype. They love bards. So we could see more of an explanation as to what that mastery was with using the instruments and the almost like monk or dervish like prayers where you're beseeching the gods to have magical effects. So I went back to Siren's Landing. I was like, oh my god, this could totally be in Guild Wars 3.
Fair. Cool. Okay. So maybe a bard. Also, you were saying something of like a priest or like a more of a holy light kind of character or a paladin. Zengel and Kroof one and Desire.
Monks are probably
that
around here this time, maybe.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think monks would be a cool thing. And if you think about console and combat, if monks weren't just what they are in Guild Wars, I wonder if there's an earlier version of monks which is more of the like kind of fighty. Like on the controller that would work. Like actually like kicking, hitting, also with magic behind that, as well as like, you know, what else they did in Guild Wars, I don't know. It could be a form. But this image sorry, go on. You were humming, Fornax.
No, I'm just thinking, if we are gonna get, well, we've seen Coden, right? So what does that look like translated into combat? So like we have the voice of Coda, we have the song of Coda, we have that kind of it's channeled through the Coden themselves, right?
Yeah.
And if we're having that kind of thing, there could be a whole host of classes based around Coda and like an older interpretation of Coda. So it's not just the voice, it's not just like the seer of the, not just the leader of the tribe that has this ability to commune with them. It's every Codan that has this ability to hear, to commune, to channel the magic of Coda, and that could be a whole. And then you, as maybe this is where we're going to get some class locking, whereby you can only play Coda if you are playing a Codan. You can only access specific magics if you're an Asura. It's like celestial stuff, or if you've aligned yourself specifically with a faction. And this is how they can kind of hone down so that you don't have everybody gets everything and then it's a big fucking jumble. You have to make choices, meaningful choices with this kind of thing.
That was another thing in the document. That was the thing. That was a question.
Is it? Oh shit!
Sorry. No. It's not a no shit thing. It's just there. It's just there. It's just like I
really need to read the document.
Basically, I'm like, no. I mean, I'm glad you're bringing it up in the conversation, and the document is just there for like everyone to talk from. It's not like I am the only one that can talk about it. It was just more of notes for myself, because it is an important question, because like in so many there have been a lot of MMORPGs, and we were talking about WoW earlier, where factions or races like classes were locked behind those, and there is a lot of thoughts about that in terms of, you know, accessibility by other, you know, by other people that don't want to be a Codan but still want to use those powers. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but that's law, man. Like, to be true to law, like maybe that is something that they do, which I don't think I would be, which I think maybe my opinion's changed on that in the past as I've gotten into law more. Where I'm like, how would I feel about just a class that's specifically just for one race? Like, would it is that a bad thing inherently? Does that mean that that doesn't change in the future as well as you play through the story, and, you know, maybe they, you know, teach humans or hopeless or how to use these powers, whatever. But would you all be? How would everyone feel about class locking behind races, or some of them?
I don't know if I would like it.
That's okay. Yeah.
And I think, they're learning from each other. And I think maybe it might make sense to have for instance, the Char, I've always felt very engineering to me. Like that's just sort of where I've associated that. But like anybody could be an engineer. But maybe there are different sources of truth when it comes to that. And you're kind of like the one-off by being a human that's a code-in class, but maybe that's like part of your story. I don't know that I would like locking it behind specific races because I think that would ruin some immersion for me and fun for me when I want to play as a certain race type and class and I can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It would also hugely affect balance as well. Like kicking it right out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends how important balance is.
I would hope it's still pretty important.
I mean, balancing across the game, sure, but there are going to be games where, there are loads of games when balancing is like, you can't balance because balancing doesn't work inherently very well. Balancing is just something which always happens. It's never balanced, if that makes sense.
Really, in the chat brought up racial skills, which I know there are some of those in Guild Wars 2. They're not as consequential though to your build. So I could see maybe some of that being specifically tied to your race, but I wouldn't make it something that matters as much as like a full build would.
I think you're right.
Opinion.
I think a lot of people wouldn't like that to be the case, like to have races with specific classes. I think most people would dislike that. Whether or not I think that is, I think that would be the reason why they wouldn't do it, rather than it could fit in with the lore or whatever.
I just don't think there's anything that I've seen in the lore that makes it to where those elements would be race locked. Yeah. I think probably like Spirits of the Wild is like, maybe you'd be like, oh, that's associated with the Coden, but not inherently. It's not like the Coden created the Spirits of the Wild. Spirits of the Wild are their own innate magical entities. They do have their governmental structure of the voice of Coda, which is, I don't think would have a much like combat implication because those are so few Coden as well. There's only like the voice and the claw, so 2 people of a Coden tribe. It's not really class specific, it's more just how they function as a species. So I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe this would be besmirch the lore as to like there not being some type of evoker class. Like in Guild Wars 2, the Norn shared with the other races how to evoke the minor spirits of the wild, like fox and otter and toad and hare. So I think they've already established that these things could be taught and passed on in Guild Wars 2. Even from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2, the evolution of guardians and engineers being to other classes and other races. So I think it would probably be the same in Guild Wars 3. I don't think they would really race lock anything. I haven't seen like it'd be like weird if they didn't.
Fair.
I agree. I 100% agree. Yeah.
Go on.
I hope that we have to chase them. So if we want to have coder skills, we have to commit to the bit and we have to do things in order to kind of, because I'm really enjoying. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe there's a specific quest line that unlocks a specific skill that we want to do, rather than it just being a skill trainer, or rather than things just, like they started to introduce a bit of narrative connective tissue with the most recent elite specializations. So you've got an NPC in game, and it talks about the evolution of the process in a narrative respect. And I'm as a person who plays for narrative, I mean, this might not be your bag, and you would like to just go to a trainer and just get all your lolly in one place. That's fair and valid. I'm not here to like yuck your yum.
What flavor of lolly? Cherry, orange, watermelon.
Absolutely. Ooh, watermelon. That sounds quite nice. I like the idea of having everything kind of like really hard baked into the game, so that I can so I have to commit to the bit. I have to understand Coda. I have to do these quests Coda. I have to maybe, God fucking, I hate like faction grinding for reputation, but that I could see them putting some sort of cock block like that in there.
If I have to do it.
Exactly. I mean, it is what it is, right?
I don't feel that faction.
Maybe for like, I could see like elite skills that are quite elite to your class might require more. They might ask a little bit more of you, or like to go do a specific boss fight. Like in Guild Wars 1, you have to go kill a boss of some kind.
Yeah, and I think we'll still have that like that one incredibly strong skill that you kind of build out the rest of your kind of your player around. And that has been like across all the games. So I think that I don't think that aspect of it is going to go away. Maybe they'll innovate on that, but I like the fact that it brings a constraint, which then requires the person to be inventive and thoughtful and interesting.
Okay. What is happening in this image that we have? I know you're gonna have to bring up
the image.
Something that you were talking about, Kroof, in your video, and other people have mentioned.
Well, some juggernaut spirit of the wild is getting its cheeks clapped.
It's
thunderclapped.
It's a very cool design. It looks like a mixture of so many different things. I'm just like, what? Like water and fire and earth and nature and lightning. Yeah. All these different
giants
aspects.
Confirmed.
Yeah. All these big, massive creatures. So what do we see here? Like, someone want to kind of talk about their own ideas from this first, rather than me kind of just going
in? Ranger confirmed, assassin confirmed.
I think the ranger
very specific
part is
BDSM.
The ranger part is very interesting because they've got arrows in their quiver, which look like normal arrows, and then they have something else going on with their bow, though, right? Like, is that the color of the spirit magic we have? Is that color?
It could be. It looks like ice as well. So maybe the ranger, ranger is very tapped into nature, and there are the various elements of nature. And there's ice traps that rangers interact with, and frost spirits. So maybe this is like a ranger infusing its arrows with frost magic to immobilize and weaken a giant.
That's an interesting thought, actually. If they have these different types of magic, whether or not as a ranger if you don't have a weapon swap or anything, you infuse your arrows with different types of elemental magic or other magic, and that is how the ability changes, or whatever changes with this arrow, for example. So like, you switch to fire and then all of a sudden it's a burning field, or it burns your opponents or whatever, and then it goes like an ice one and it slows them, or
Also, it's like there's some sort of shadow step happening. If you look at behind the giant, if you look at the ground, there's a leg shape down there on the ground. It looks like some sort of, maybe there is like shadow step magic happening. Do you see it?
You mean the character under the hand?
So directly under the hand, there's like a very dark shape, and then there is the shape of a person's leg.
Oh, it's a person. It's a whole person.
It's a whole person.
Yeah.
But the darkness and the shadow, that's a
whole person.
I think that's just like a character being flung off its back, and it looks like they're hitting the ground.
Is it? Oh my
It's a full
god, my
person.
brain doesn't work anymore.
It's okay.
It's a full
It's like
person.
on the stream. Also, the quality of the image may not look as defined, but and I can link it in the chat. But it is a full-on person. Yeah. It looks like
Stupid
it.
autistic brain. It looked like.
I think it could.
Like, you know,
What do you mean?
there
I'm
could
seeing
still
a
be shadow
chicken
stepping.
and a duck.
Doesn't mean that isn't
There-
it isn't a character which has like kind of just gone onto the back of them, done something, and just jumped off. Yeah.
Maybe. Are you?
I mean-
Because I'm not talking about the person in the background in the purple.
Oh,
I'm talking
no,
about
yeah, we're talking
shadow
about this
on the-
person here. I'm got my mouse kind of going around them. This person here. This is a hand. This is an arm. This is a leg. This is a leg. This is a cloak.
Okay, that person. Okay.
that what you mean?
My brain does not work.
I'll zoom into
Yes.
it. Yeah, it's a full-on person.
I have failed. I have failed. Okay.
I'm sorry. We can zoom in there. I did zoom in.
I am not a human. I cannot identify the traffic lights. Thank you.
It's okay.
Much appreciated.
But it is a
Okay.
shadier character. I mean, you could, it's okay.
Okay.
It's all right.
Okay. Oh my god. Public humiliation.
What are you
Okay,
talking
let's go.
about? We're
No.
fine.
Moving on.
It's all good. But
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, this character, Ranger. I mean, that makes sense. I think the more the part of this which is the most intriguing is this person over here in the purple kind of cape / armor,
Okay.
which looks very heavy.
Yeah.
It looks like heavy armor, and then the electric. I was assuming that this lightning or whatever is from like a blade that is in this kind of down motion. I think, but that's just a
Could be.
guess because I can't really see it. Other than there's this kind of
I think it is.
outer edge here, which looks like it might be. They're in heavy. It looks like they're in heavy armor, I would say.
It looks.
Yes.
I will also say this artist, the person who did this, is Kekai Kotaki, and his concept art across Guild Wars 2's like early development, he does a lot of heavy armor. So I think he might be a bit more. He might just enjoy
He might have just done
making
that.
heavy armor characters.
Especially if this is like concepty.
Yeah.
What do you think about the lightning though? What could that be? I mean, other than actual lightning. I mean, what is that? Is it like is this a slashing? So if this is a slashing for a sword, what kind of thing is this? Is this a potential usage of just this magic? Is it a class? Is it just some random dude or person? Is there anyone have any thoughts about this?
What I gain from this is it's probably just like indicative of like a concepting of action combat and being able to imbue your weapons with these different elements, be it a ranger or some type of maybe an elementalist using lightning magic, and seeing this synergy between the two characters where the ranger, for all intents and purposes, the ranger shoots and covers its arm in ice, and then this
Absolutely.
sword-wielding person exploits that weakness, destroying its arm and shattering its armor, its gauntlet. So I think it's a really beautiful art piece, and I love looking at this so much. It's like the only taste of combat we actually have about Guild Wars 3.
But that's a good point. I mean, you see, like you said, you see. I mean, I also don't know if I really linked that. I mean, I knew that they were kind of going through the arm, but maybe I didn't think. I thought of this bit because it was the blatant, like, kind of arrow sticking out of their arm here. There is one there. But you're right. Like, there is
there's an
big.
arrow
You
in
can
its
see one in
shoulder.
a couple of
You
shoulders.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
There's
can.
like 1, 2, 3 arrows over there.
I
Yeah.
didn't even notice those. There's 4.
Oh,
I see
I didn't
now.
notice the 2 in his arm, in the palm, and in that
Yeah,
like
there's-
armor bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you start to look at it
Oh.
more, there's 4 there.
Oh,
There's one
oh my God,
there.
there is.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that at all. It's yeah. But like you said, there is the kind of element of combination that comes from frozen arm, cut arm off using sword / lightning. Because they look like they're pretty far away. Or they're small. I guess they're a giant.
Angle, you know what this means. The combo fields.
Oh God! Look, we don't need to bring that up.
Wait, what? What's that about?
I'm just.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I knew combos existed. I didn't use combos as a guild war. I'm a cosplayer, okay? I'm a cosplayer. And then I was playing End of Dragons. I was playing End of Dragons, and they're like, here's this thing about combo fields. And I was like, great, let's sit down and learn about combo fields.
Okay.
And I learned what they were, and you guys will be happy to know that I know all about combo fields, but I got a whole bunch of yapping from all of you guys, and I'm sure you're going to be in the comments now about how did you not know about combo fields? That was like a main selling point of the game, and are you joking? Are you trolling me? I'm like, no, I am not. I was not trolling you too. That was in like 2012, and I don't remember my life then.
Preach it.
So
That's fair.
But this is part of why I like this franchise to begin with. And this is the point I'm going to make here before we move on, is that you don't have to know. You can make it
Depends how you play
as like min-maxy as you want. You can come in, you can do like Fornax mentioned, the one button builds. You can have successful gameplay and enjoy your time and relax and shut your brain off and enjoy this game. You can get through the whole thing that way. And I am proof of this.
Absolutely. Yes.
But then
Me
you
too,
can also
sister. Me
go
too.
in. Yes, you can also go in and learn about combo fields and learn what CC does and breaking defiance bars. And I did know about that. I'll tell you, I did know about that at the very least. But you can max your DPS. You can have really fast, raid runs, to do CMs and LCMs and all of those things, and enjoy that experience as well as somebody who likes to play more challenging content. So just so everybody knows, I do now know what combo fields are. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Kroof. I love you so much.
Welcome.
And now more of the internet knows my embarrassing story.
I didn't know.
No,
It's all right.
Moments of knowledge.
Kroof orders chicken strips from Mexican
Go on,
restaurant.
please, go on. It's owed now.
gonna shoot
You ordered from the
shots
Chinese.
right back.
It's from a Chinese restaurant.
Yes,
I love that you've also bastardized the story because it's a Mexican restaurant, but you just said it's, at this point in the story, it's just I get it from a Chinese restaurant.
It's a Chinese restaurant. Yeah, it's the chicken tenders.
You ordered chicken strips from a
And this
fucking
is
Mexican
and
restaurant.
this
Yes.
is exactly why history is unreliable, and it's not even retconning. It's just that history is unreliable because it's the word of mouth. We might not know anything
Because
about
Angle will learn about the lore and then go spread the wrong story, the wrong version of it.
I think the
The
in-depth
5-inch fish
story-
suddenly becomes 10. It's fine.
Well, men do that all the time.
But preach. That disappointment hits hard. Anyways,
Definitely think it's 9. No, it's more like 2.
It doesn't really hit hard at all, actually.
9 centimeters. But I bring the combo field up because I think that
You wanted
Guild Wars
to
2
give
will actually.
Gilbert some shit. That's what.
Oh, I think combo fields would be fantastic and does look like they're
Yeah. Because I
going in
think
that direction.
in Guild Wars 2, the idea of comboing is very passive to the point where you're not really engaged with it. I only knew combo fields because I was like following along with, the marketing. But in truth, when I'm playing Guild Wars 2, because it's also so massive with so many people, you really don't notice them. You never really feel like you have to, or you'll gain too much out of it unless you're playing PvP. It's when you're in these very small scale fights
Alright.
that you really begin to rely on your other allies, abilities and how they're functioning.
It really
And I think that-
depends. I think it really depends on the mode you're playing, but also what kind of a player you are. Because a lot of my
No, I would
builds
say
are-
even in raids, it's not that great.
Oh, I
I have to go and feed my hedgehog a second. I'll be back. Sorry.
Oh,
I just heard. Sorry, I've got my
fine.
window open and I can hear the hedgehogs in the garden, and I haven't put any cat food out for them. There's going to be a riot. Hang on, I'll be back.
So cute. That's so English.
I love that.
It really depends. Like I've got
Beautiful.
when you play engineer is very like field blasty oriented, like bombs or water fields from your turret, or like, you know, with Hollow Smith, and there was a lot of fields.
Those are builds where like you're specifically building into the combo fields. But as like the way it was marketed, it was marketed in a way that was like, you're just going to be, you know, relying on your
Passively
allies and, you know,
using this
placing
stuff,
down a fire and positioning yourself to shoot through that firewall. But
You
does
don't
that
have
really
to-
happen?
I think what Ingo was saying,
No.
that you don't have to do these things or be aware of them to enjoy the game at even like a higher level, honestly. I mean, you don't have
But I think
to.
that's that
It is
to that
pretty cool.
point, I think it's maybe a, you know, shortcoming of that system. And I think in Guild Wars 3, under the umbrella of an action with a very different gameplay feel, I think they'll be able to do combo fields and combo attacks in a much more evolved way that will be much more interesting.
There
Like
will be much
encasing a creature
more,
in ice
like,
and then shattering that exploitation.
Exactly. Rather than like a field, like an effect which is on an enemy and you add to it, which creates something new, right? It's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, and because
Yeah.
the way combo fields work, there's so many that overlap that it's
Mhm.
not the system that I think it was looking to be. But in
Yeah.
Guild Wars 3, they might have a bit more of an emphasis on those combos and on actually like paying attention to what is happening, not only to what the boss is doing to you all, but what your allies are afflicting to like creatures.
Question: do you think they're going to handle it like Genshin does? So in Genshin, there's like, you get in the water, you are wet. Therefore, if you get hit by
Yeah.
a specific attack, then you are more fucked if you are wet, or that kind
Oh,
of
I
thing.
didn't
Yeah,
know that. That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that. That's nice.
I
like
think
that a
don't
lot.
play it.
more-
Don't put your credit card into it.
Yeah.
It will take all
Don't
your
do that
money,
with
but
those
it's a
games.
fantastic game. But don't play it. It's,
I'm excited at the idea that there is more elemental interactions, like electricity and water, you know, earth and water creating slowing fields and mud and whatnot. Like, I think it gives them a new game, a new engine, a modern engine with modern tech, gives them many more fun things to play around with to make combat as dynamic as they want it to be.
Let's go.
have to commiserate someone in the chat. Sorry. Yeah, it's
Ooh.
fine.
Shout out to
Genshin
Meg.
gets everybody, man. Genshin gets everybody. Yeah.
That's epic. Yeah, I like that idea of the combos being more about like what's on the enemy rather than what's on the ground. I'm hoping that they're thinking about visual noise of abilities as well in Guild Wars 3, because in Guild Wars 2 it's a minefield of color and brightness and loud things and
I think that's why they're going for a middle ground between Guild Wars 1 and 2, so they won't have to worry about like having 100 players on screen. It'll be more like, you know, between Guild Wars 1's 8 players and Guild Wars 2's 100 players.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, is there anything else from this image we can glean other than just Guild Wars?
I can't
stuff?
identify humans in a frame. No, I think
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I think Ara is floating in the background. It's a
Yeah,
floating
just gonna-
city.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's so fucking cool.
Okay.
nice little touch. You get to see some of the Ara.
Yeah. Okay, where am I with this? Let's have a look. Professions, combo fields, boons. I want them to F off kindly. Go away. I don't want them anymore. I don't want them. I don't care. A buff that may be on you from using something, cool. But I don't want boons anymore. Fuck off.
Agreed.
Just get rid of them.
I think that's why that's also kind of why I brought that up, because I think instead of boons being like the universal element of combat, I think like elemental effects will probably be a universal element of combat. It's much more proactive than just I have an orange button on my screen.
Too much to keep track of. It's just, it feels like you're playing a mini game where you're like, I must press button to have this thing rather than press button to have fun.
Question: do you think that they will give us like standard like buffs, like I cast this for an hour buff from
No.
like the different gods?
Don't want it.
You
Don't
don't
want
want. You don't want
I
it.
don't want that shit. I just don't
Veto.
want
You're
it.
vetoing that hard.
I think
Okay.
if
Do
you
you
are
mean, like-
using an ability or something and it gives you a buff during the time that you use an ability, I think that would be fine. I think that's fine.
What do you mean by like hour buff? Do you mean like power word fortitude and WoW,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah, like you get like
oh, like
power
you
Duena, where
think that would be
your tingly bits do 2 extra holy damage or something like that, right? Yeah. Sorry.
Mine do
I think
7.
actually
Wow.
those are
That's a
pretty
lot.
like
And
I
that's
would-
why you're the leader.
Yeah.
when
My
it
tingly
comes to
bits.
gameplay, I tend to attract a community that really enjoys playing support. Not specifically healing, but people that like to buff up allies and debuff enemies. And I think that those hour-long durations are pretty like bare bones, boring elements of support type buffing and debuffing. So I would love something more active where it's like it's not a boon, but with the abilities you take, you know, you're able to really empower people for like 5 seconds in a fight,
I
and
think
it has a
see
long
visually
cooldown.
on your character
Yeah.
would be a cool thing. So like if you like give someone a shield or something, you can see like something
Yeah.
maybe around them, like a outline or something. I think rather than a buff that is a indicator on a bar somewhere. I really want to like those kinds of things, especially with a controller. Like you can't really look at that and be like you wouldn't be able to like mouse over it and look what it is or understand what it is, rather than I guess.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Not that you necessarily have to.
Yeah. I agree with that sentiment. I wouldn't want something as passive as boons, but I still know that there's a lot of people that like playing that team focused playstyle. So I'd want it to be there, but not in the way that Guild Wars 2 did it, where everything was universal and had to be upkept because it could be upkept permanently.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's I find it very boring. Sorry. I think in terms of you know, if you think about like swiftness, etc., like you can just have a dash with a stamina bar, which would be a fairly standard console thing. Of like I dash and I can run faster by holding down the trigger or whatever, and then you know I do a different ability because I'm running faster, rather than like, you know, it's a specific ability I have to press, which, you know, again translates to console more. I don't know what else did they put in there. Oh, there wasn't. Yeah, they've got that term, and I think Kroof, you picked up on this in your video as well on the Guild Wars 3 website, of master action combat. So it's like I mean I don't know really what to take from that. I mean it's just more in depth action combat that we have in kind of Guild Wars 2, I guess, to a degree, but it's going to be more. It's going to be more than that. Got a fucking controller now. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very vague term.
There were. Never mind.
Go on.
Oh. You can't raw dog like that. You can't just like pull out and not say anything now. Dear God, that was terrible.
Thanks, Fornax.
We don't really have any like
Sorry.
actual. I mean, I guess it's public knowledge because it was posted all over the Reddit. But
Sure.
people did find a developer who's working at ArenaNet, and he specializes in action combat. And they found his portfolio, and it's not necessarily indicative of like his work is going to be what Guild Wars 3 looks like.
It influences.
you know,
So what games?
I don't think any name games. They were like personal projects and like a lot of stuff to just like build a resume. And
Oh wow.
he was able to showcase like 2 spectrums of like that weighted combat that you would see in like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and also something much more fast-paced but active. And it was very interesting the way that they were categorized and those examples were branded, because it could have indicated that this was like early work maybe for investors of Guild Wars 3. So, but I don't want to say much more about that because it's just like a lot of back-end stuff that's not like, it's not necessarily confirmation of what Guild Wars 3 would be, but it at least showcases a talent of someone who's a very talented developer working on Guild Wars 3. So it does instill me with like a lot of excitement to see if any of that skill set that that you can see on his website and on the Reddit, if that translates to Guild Wars 3, and I'd be very impressed and pleased with the talent that works at ArenaNet.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Oh god, if it is anywhere, oh my god, the learning curve is going to be so fucking steep for me. Oh my god, oh my god.
Amazing.
It is amazing, but I
was-
sucked at it so fucking hard. Oh my god.
I was just very,
I don't
very
think
scared most of the time.
because even like
Good.
the word
Sad day
action
for me.
combat, there's a lot of variety within that. You have that Senua's Sacrifice, you have Elden Ring, you have like fast-paced like hack and slash ones. So there's a lot of variety under the term action combat.
I mean, action combat's always been around for as long as I mean, it's just that action combat is just like not mouse and keyboard. It really is like kind of just like you hit button, it does thing. You don't really tab on target onto anything. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
We are coming up to a hard limit at the moment, by the way, guys, just for like people check.
Yeah. Okay, I'm checking.
Yeah.
Yes, we are coming to somewhat of the end. I think there was a question of I mean, I haven't really asked the question of like what new classes could there be. Maybe we could kind of end on this. I think we're going to be having this discussion over and over and over again anyway. So there will be more podcasts in the future.
What? We'll never talk about this again. What do you mean?
No, for sure.
Maybe if there is a class you would like to have that isn't in the game already, I mean, just a very, I mean, no, maybe.
I would like a summoner. I'd like a more summoner type class.
Okay.
What are you summoning?
Spirits. I think in the concept art we saw those like little death and fire imp creatures in one of the concept art pieces. I would love a class that, where you summon like little minions and imps and like creatures to like attack for you, because we have minions and illusions, but we don't really have like a Final Fantasy 14-esque summoner, in my opinion.
Okay. That's cool. Engel, what about you? You gonna say Paladin?
Sure. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, Paladin. No, I really I mean that's just been my play style through the franchise so far. Is what I've just fallen in love with. So of course I'd love to see something there, although just hoping for it to be slightly different enough. So Paladin's kind of
feel unique.
Kind of my alley. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And they would be defending and supporting people mostly, or would they be more offensive?
I think they would. I don't know. Little of both. I probably would want to play it more supportively personally, but I think you could. I think you could go either way.
Okay. Fornax.
Yeah, I'm a druid in real life, obviously. My house is full of flowers. Like I have indoor gardens, outdoor gardens. I'm like, I love life and plant life and nature and that kind of thing. And I like the idea of being able to like channel that, you know, and I love shape-shifting into different types of characters, so in different forms, be they flora or fauna, which will be the new one for Guild Wars 3. I just love that idea, and I love the idea of it being kind of maybe a hybridized version of the kind of spirits that we see in Melandru and that kind of, you know, twisty misty. I kind of love that idea. For both, for what nature does best, which is both life and death, right? It doesn't. There's two sides of the same coin. Yeah.
I think that I would. If we get dwarves,
Okay.
I was gonna say whatever works best on dwarf is where Jebro's head is at.
You know me. There's two schools of this. One, I really like all of your suggestions, and I would play all of them in a heartbeat. Paladin, I love. Always play Paladin. Paladin's the first character I ever made in WoW when it was initially launched. I played Cleric in Rift. I played that class to death, and I love it. Guild Wars 2, my favorite classes are Necromancer, Guardian, but Engineer the most. So it's hard, like, because I'm like, also in my head I was like, a witch would be cool, you know, like a witchy kind of character that is really kind of based in, like, you know, curses and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
$20.
But like, if I think of a dwarf, I think of, like, you know,
I'll curse your ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, basically. Like dwarf, if you think of like dwarf stance in Guild Wars 2, like these are very bruisery kind of small axe wielding / warriors, which is not something I really play a lot of, but I could see myself playing that kind of role in a game like Guild Wars 3 more. But also like supporting your team as well, your team, your group, your squad, your whatever, which would be cool. Obviously, like a gadgety engineer would be great as well, but I wonder about what that would even look like. So I'm not sure I've got the imagination for that right now. I'd need like 2-3 or more hours.
Seer magic, wielding seer magic and technology, because it'll be maybe much fresher and could do.
I mean, I don't want to say that I don't think there's going to be dwarves in the game, but, you know, I think it feels like it's not going to. I feel like they just don't want to put them in. And just
Me with
sad.
Tengu.
I think there's more likelihood that Tengu will be in the game. I honestly think that. I think there's more. I think that, and also I can't remember what they're flipping called.
Largos?
Maybe them. A lot of people have talked about them. Maybe, I mean, the code are in there. So, I mean, there's a possibility of anything. And they could even change that in the future and add more races. I mean, that would be cool. If they added, instead of classes, races, I would love that. Give me them all.
They have to do that. They have to do that. This one, they have to do that. And I think there's a huge chance that the Tengu are a part of it, because Cantha is the first place that the gods went, and this is basically like a human outpost, right? So, I'm thinking odds are. I think there'd be a fucking riot if we don't get Tengu this time. Honestly, cool. Like,
I'd even play a Tengu just because I'd be like, there's no dwarves.
Come on, ArenaNet, we want to hear you squawk. Come on.
I mean, I'm going to play a code. I'm going to play all of them. Other than a human, I'm not going to play humans. That's boring.
I don't know. I'm not that keen on birds this week. For the past 7 days, I've had a bird fly into my conservatory every single day. Jesus. And unlike my husband, who can Disney princess them out of the door, he just puts his finger out and they jump on. Apparently, I give off an aura of death, and I've been like chasing birds around my conservatory for the past week. So I'm personally going to veto Tengu, but if you guys want to play with the birdies, I have enough of that.
Well, you heard it.
That's
you heard it here. When we don't get Tengu, this is why. Yeah.
Public enemy number 1.
Yeah. You can find
on my monitor
Fornax at right now.
Okay, we're going to end things there. So I respect people's time and availability today, which is very, very cool. And that was kind of a good, natural place to end things as well. If you're wondering about the things we chatted in the past, I know Matt and you're talking about the Trinity. We did talk about that earlier on in the podcast, so there's things to go back through. Otherwise, we will continue to talk about Guild Wars 3 with all the information coming out until obviously the launch and beyond, as well as Guild Wars 2 stuff coming up, and Guild Wars Reforged, which also came out on cell phone very recently as well, in between the last episode of this podcast and now. So go play that on your cell phone if you've got 4 gigabytes of space. And if you've got a newer phone, then you probably have, but I don't. Angle, tell us what you do, where you do it, and we will do outros.
Sure. So I stream mostly on Twitch. You can find me at twitch.tv/EngilbertMeow. I do a lot of achievement hunting, beetle racing, things like that over my channel, lore, chatting about lore and all that fun stuff. But my main game is doing live cosplay. So I do makeup and costume design live on my channel to raise money for charity for Children's Hospital. So stop by to check some of that stuff out if you're interested.
Lovely.
I'm gonna throw it to somebody else now.
Fornax says what you do where you do it.
Yep. Button. Hey, I'm Fornax. I'm the Crichton Herald, or Fornax the Herald. You can find me over on YouTube at Fornax the Herald. You can find me on Blue Sky at Fornax the Herald. That's pretty much where I post. I do post on Instagram, but under duress, because, God, it's a hypnotoad, that thing. And please do check out my channel. There's a load of Pride content up, and the money that, if you watch them, all the AdSense that's earned on those videos goes to Rainbow Railroad forever. And I know we've just come out of Pride Month, but like, holy shirt balls, the world's on fire. So if you can go and watch those videos, or like put them on in the background while you're doing your homework or cleaning the house or anything like that, all the money forever goes to Rainbow Railroad for as long as that channel and that charity exists. And at the moment, if you come back in a week, hopefully, fingers crossed, God help me, I'm doing a massive, huge, gigantic Reforged guide. So for anybody who's coming to the game or returning to the game, so that, because it's a weird little creepy little game sometimes. The stuff is hidden and you don't know where things are and what the hell's this and why when I go outside is there nobody else but me. Yeah, it's a strange game. It's wonderful and fantastic and brilliant, but it's a complete culture shock for people coming in from normal MMOs of the modern era. So it's a huge guide about all the things that you need to know to get into Reforged and have a great time, and you fucking should, because it's a great game. Yes. And that is all. Thank you.
Lovely job.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Kroof, your TED Talk?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kroof. I stream here on Twitch Fridays and the weekends typically. And I also have a YouTube, so feel free to go over there. I post videos about Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 3. I have some very exciting and fun projects that I've been working on, so that'll be out very, very soon. And yeah, you can head on over to all my other social media. I have an Instagram as well where I post my reels and shorts. So yeah, you can catch me pretty much everywhere. This has been lovely. Thank y'all so much.
Pardon me. I am Jebro. You can find me on twitch.tv/JebroUnity, as well as youtube.com/JebroUnity as well, which is where you can find all of these wonderful podcasts. In the future and the present and the past, obviously we have tons of content if you want to go check that out. Tons of banter, tons of good times, tons of epic content, and thinking about things in an awesome way, and being curious about the future and exploring all the things and all the paths and all of the shorts. You said shorts, and I can't stop thinking about shorts now. Just actual shorts. I was like, you just show your shorts off in videos. But anyway, also look up the Guild Wars, Lightbringers Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars podcast as well. As the Guild Wars, we have 3 of them now, or 4 of them, as Engel said, which is rightfully so. The other game that's coming, that weird thing, whatever that is.
That other thing.
Yeah. That's random. Also, I just want to leave you with an important point that I was just reading. Some dwarves were known to revere the human gods Dwayne and Gremph and invoke the gods' names at times. This was very, very uncommon, though. Just saying. And they also had members within the Church of Dwayne as well. Just saying. You know, I mean, that is ArenaNet. Like, that's a really good light.
Interesting.
Slide them in there. They're so small. Oh. They're so small.
Whoa.
Anyway, sorry. Whoa. Them. That's like that. Anyway.
Hey, yo.
Thanks so much for watching the Guild Wars 2 Lightbringers podcast. Guild Wars podcast. We will see you next time. Have a good rest.
Nothing without a wide base, kids. Nothing without a wide base. That's just, you know.
Goodbye.
Yup.
See you soon, everyone. Bye.